Are you guys realizing that the Ripple versus SEC case regarding XRP could very well be over within 6 weeks from now? Yes, guys, within a little bit over a month, we are reaching that end of March, end of the first quarter of 2023 deadline. And that's basically where a lot of lawyers were speculating that the judge might want to close this case, as it's basically the appropriate time for it. Now, I could sit here and talk about that specific piece for hours, as to me it's mind-boggling that we've been waiting for such a ridiculously long amount of time for this to all finish. And as of this point, XRP is one of the only coins that's literally done bad all this time. I don't want to be a hate preacher, but look at the price, right? I mean, before 2017, or I should say before 2018, because that's when XRP hit its all-time high, XRP was always on top of the curve, second in market cap most of the time, performing really well, always lagging a little bit with its all-time high, but going powerful. And all of a sudden, after the lawsuit came, all these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, ETH, whatever, they hit a 3x of their all-time high from 2017-18, except for XRP, which went to about, I'd say, 66% of its all-time high at the time. That really made me think, there's so much potential for the coin to do really, really well, and it could already happen within a couple of weeks. But anyway, let's quickly cover what's going on, because I have a couple of articles. The whole situation surrounding the crypto space and regulation right now is pretty difficult, to say the least. So there has been a little bit of a problem, to put it easily, with the way in which the SEC is approaching cryptocurrencies. Now, they're saying, specifically Mr. Gary Gensler is saying, that crypto is not officially under attack in the US. Crypto is not under attack. The SEC chair denies Operation Choke Point. He is basically saying that this is not to go against the crypto stuff. It's basically to get rid of this Wild West, and it's basically to protect the people. The path forward is well trodden, whether it is large companies you follow every day, Apple or other tech companies or the automobile industry, yada, yada, yada. They know how to be compliant. We have tens of thousands of registrants that properly and in good faith registered and made the proper disclosures, which is peculiar to me reading this. It's time for this group, crypto, to do so. The runway is running awfully short. Again, I do not agree with the way in which they do things, but let's quickly cover what other SEC people are thinking. We have crypto mom, Miss Hester Pierce from the SEC and SEC commissioner. She lambasts the SEC over Kraken staking decision and the $30 million fine. Now, the commissioner, Hester Pierce, disagreed with the regulator's move to shut down Kraken's staking service. Pierce noted that the decision was not a fair way of regulating the crypto industry, and the digital asset staking models differ. Kraken was also ordered to shut its staking services for U.S. customers, in addition to a $30 million fine for not properly registering. And the news emerged shortly after Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, pointed to rumors about Gary Gensler's watchdog cracking down on staking providers, which indeed we saw a little bit earlier. Anyway, even though some people at the SEC, like Hester Pierce, are not agreeing with this approach, it can actually be confirmed a little bit better when you check out the Mr. Bill Huizinga here, Representative Bill Huizinga. Since Gary Gensler won't abide by his own policies to come in and talk to the House GOP, will hold him accountable, which I think is a pretty big statement. Today, as promised, our oversight of the SEC begins with a request for documents surrounding the interactions with Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, and the Justice Department, to kind of see what was going on in the background right there. And DM Logic says, okay, but real tough. He's been sticking a finger in your eye for 2 years straight, and you're going to really lay down the law by requesting documents. I'm sure everything is about to change in the sense of, first of all, a little bit late to the party for asking for documents regarding FTX. Should have been done a little bit quicker than that. That's one thing. Second of all, you're still walking behind the facts regarding Ripple, for example, and all the conflicts of interest in that nature. To get back to it, Hester Pierce said a couple of interesting things. Whether it's through staking as a service, lending, or other means, crypto intermediaries, when offering investment contracts in exchange for investors' tokens, this is actually the SEC guy, both SEC, this is Gary Gensler, tokens need to provide the proper disclosures and safeguards required by our securities laws, which we're going to get to in just a second. Today's action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register and provide full, fair, and truthful disclosures. Okay, Keep that in the back of our head. And again, I'll share with you guys why this is pretty difficult to uphold in a second. Little side note, I don't like exposing people, right? There were, however, people in the crypto space, like, for example, let's just keep it to myself. There were people in the crypto space that were pretty much for the SEC's approach to do things. Even within the XRP community, some people were on the side of the SEC. And again, I understand, but I very much disagree. What I understand is the SEC's simple words, which are, hey, staking, you should definitely be able to do it if you just follow all the proper rules. Where things get difficult, like I described in the stream, is the smaller wordings of things like, okay, what exactly is creating value? Because that's also a prerequisite of it all, which is kind of difficult. Again, hence Cardano now potentially has to change things. We'll talk about that in just a second. But also, where exactly are these rules and how does it work if a provider, I guess, or a party comes up to you? Will you really stand there with open arms? Because, I mean, as we've seen in the past here, the SEC approach of, hey, come in and talk to us and let's discuss things hasn't really worked, as we've seen with Ripple. So there I'm also thinking, well, let's say an exchange actually does want to set something up. Will you actually be there to take them in? Or will you just, like with Coinbase, say, nah, don't do it? I didn't show you the screen by accident. I was just showcasing you guys these three articles right here. In the start here, saying, again, Gary also says, come on in, but it doesn't work. Cardano regarding that they might have to change staking. And Hester Pierce here with her article. Now, there was a little while ago as well, where Hester Pierce has shown some, I guess, not agreeableness or whatever against the SEC. But I'd say that an ETF is a little bit less important than what we're seeing right here, because staking is an integral part of the crypto space, whereas an ETF is, or ETPs in that sense, are necessary for crypto to get main adoption, sure, but they're not an integral part of the community and building that from the ground up, so to speak, and staking really is. Most concerning, though, is that our solution to a registration violation is to shut down entirely a program that has served people well. The program will no longer be available in the US, and Kraken is enjoined from ever offering a staking service in the United States, registered or not, which again does not really make a whole lot of sense. A paternalistic and crazy, lazy regulators settles on a solution like this one in this settlement, do not initiate a public process to develop a workable registration process that provides valuable information to investors, just shut it down. Again, and that's literally what's happening. Again, we can sit here for hours debating the fact that they give up to 20% on stake tokens. Bank of America or whatever bank gives you like 0.01. And in Europe, they actually give you -% on your bank account, when in realistic terms doing the same. I've never seen a slip from any of my banks explaining to me exactly what they're pulling my money for and all that stuff. Is a bank really safe? Well, it's all their system, right? So it's all a protection system. But regardless, Cardano, they're in a little bit of a sticky situation right now. Because, again, Gary Gensler said in order to basically be allowed to be staked, it needs to create new value. And it can't just be a dilution of the supply. And where that becomes difficult is, let's say, hypothetically speaking, that you're staking, and the SEC does not feel as if it's creating enough value. That means that only what's happening is the token amount is increasing. And so what's happening is you have a stake, and now it's split over 3 pieces instead of 2, so to speak, where you both have half your stake already sort of, but then it's being split up into little extra pieces. I mean, if you split a stake, that's what he said, into 3 pieces, it's still 1 stake, I agree. And so there needs to be value created, okay, certainly, but they're the ones who decide what is proper value and what not. And now, well, Cardano and I guess almost every single staking related cryptocurrency is under a little bit of scrutiny because they have to change things up to follow along with these legal requirements. According to Hoskinson, operators in the space can consider the contingent staking model that centers around know your customer practices, which again is going to make all this a lot more centralized and is going to work out a lot better for institutionally focused cryptocurrencies rather than peer-to-peer idealistic cryptocurrencies in a traditional sense. And this would literally be fine anywhere around the world. But in the US, things are going to start to get so difficult when it comes to staking and being involved in the network, because they might only want to operate with other parties in the US and only this, that. And what it seems to me like sometimes is that the US literally wants crypto to, first of all, die out because they'd rather support the banking system than crypto. Again, in literal terms, banks can't compete with this, so they have to shut it down, but I digress. It also seems as if they want to create an entire US crypto ecosystem that's Basically just a completely floppy version where nobody's able to make any money. That's also literally not able to connect with any other part of the world. They want to basically make the US completely isolated when it comes to crypto to the rest of the world. And just wait until they also propose some new rules on Bitcoin or whatever. Again, with the Ripple case, I've seen from my own eyes that they don't really want crypto to succeed, and they're doing everything in their power to just shut it down. Now with this SEC debacle regarding staking, it's becoming even more apparent that they have some sort of agenda, and you can either say it's protect the US dollar or the banking system, or you can say it's sick ambition from Gary Gensler. That I do not know, but it's ridiculous, and let's just hope that this Ripple case fixes itself soon. Again, we're hoping that it's going to be over by 6 weeks from now. We've obviously had Brad Garlinghouse state that he thinks it's going to be over in 2023, or at least he hopes so. But more importantly, I believe Jeremy Hogan and John Dean, but please don't quote me on this, I believe both have stated it, but hey, it might just be James Fillon. I've seen so many lawyers speak about it that I've forgotten who exactly it is, who mostly all were looking at that March 31st figure. I believe it might have been James Fillon, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, double checking it. Now things are up to Judge Annalisa Torres. Summary judgment for the case, according to former prosecutor James Fillon, will take place on or before March 31st. And then John Dean said, don't expect it to be before March 31st. So let's just all put in on our calendars that specific date for right now. And yeah, as of this point, that's all we can do. Just wait it out a little bit. Hopefully going to be by the end of next month, which is really crazy when you start thinking about it. But hey, that's it for right now, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you guys again in another crypto video, hopefully somewhere later today.